I could never go vegan because animals taste good. And if they weren't supposed to be eaten, then why are they so damn tasty? This is a really frequent comment made by non-vegans to vegans, especially if you're somebody who speaks up for the animals. So the first thing that I want to do is offer vegans an opportunity to see what I consider to be the most logical, reasonable, soundproof way to respond to that. And also I wanted to give the person who left that comment on my video a chance to hear what that sounds like, to have that reasoning questioned. So the first thing I do when somebody says, oh, meat tastes good, or whatever they're eating, vegetarians, when they say they can't go vegan because of cheese or eggs or whatever. So the first thing I say is, you're right, animal flesh can taste good. And the first thing that does is it sort of disarms the other person, right? Imagine this, you're in a fight with your partner, sometimes you go back and forth and you say something like, you never listen to me, you never hear me. And the first thing they do is go, you know what, you're right, I don't listen, you're right. Immediately you're validated, you're disarmed, you're engaged, you're listening, right? If they start off with, well, you don't listen either, right? You want to disarm them. So the next step from there is to say, you're right, animal flesh can taste good. However, does the pleasure justify the harm? And allow them to think about it. See if they'll answer. And if they say yes or no or whatever, accept their answer. Sometimes if they're being defensive and sarcastic, they'll say, haha, yes. So you might say something like, well, people who fight dogs and people who do some horrible things could justify it by saying, well, it felt good to me. Would you accept that excuse? If somebody hurts another person or hurts an animal, is an acceptable excuse to say, because it felt good. And the reason why we do this, and non-vegans get really confused for some reason when we do this, because they'll say something like, well, dog fighting and hurting kids, that's not the same as hurting an animal. But they fail to understand that we're not saying it's the same. What we're really trying to do is offer them an opportunity to apply their own logic to a similar situation. So we're hoping that they'll see that, but oftentimes they get confused. So if somebody calls you out for that, just side note, if somebody tries to say it's not the same, you're right, it's not the same. I'm trying to see if you can apply your logic to another similar situation. So people justify harming dogs in dog fights by saying it felt good. Is that okay? Is that an acceptable excuse? Well, the law says otherwise for the record, but hopefully the person you're talking to will also say otherwise. So the point is that you want to break down their response, right? Because what they're saying when they say that they won't go vegan because it tastes good, they're saying, I won't stop hurting animals. So being non-vegan is hurting animals. I won't stop hurting animals because it feels good, because something being yummy is a feeling, a taste pleasure. So what they're saying at the root of their comment is, I won't stop hurting animals because it feels good. And when we break it down into the really simple building blocks of their own logic, oftentimes they themselves can see that there's a flaw there. There's a flaw in that logic. And so that's what we're trying to lead them to when we ask these questions, or even if you directly say, we don't justify. It's better if you can ask the question, because it gives your other person an opportunity to interact and respond and think, and that's what you want. But the point is that we really want to get them to ask themselves, am I behaving according to my own values? Is it true that I actually value my pleasure over another being's harm? Or am I actually behaving in a way that I don't agree with myself? So that's the gist of my response in general. I try not to turn things into an argument with non-vegans because it almost never goes well. And another sort of quick side note here is, as a vegan, do not get caught up in trying to quote unquote be right, okay? And I think that non-vegans think that we do this, but it's funny because we're fighting so hard and arguing so hard for the animals, right? And we think that if they see that we are right, they'll go vegan. But the truth is that if they think we're right, they're just going to argue more because they want to be right. So we really have to decenter ourselves from the argument, right? This is truly about the animals. Always remind yourself of that. And another important thing is, as a vegan, you are absolutely morally correct. There are no good arguments against veganism, and we should behave that way. Behave with 100% confidence. Engage in discussions with 100% confidence. As a vegan, you are not wrong. You're early, but you're not wrong. So when you go back and forth with these people, don't be shy. Don't speak quietly unless that's a part of your nature. Don't think that you can't speak up for the animals, because you are correct. And it's not because you are correct, it's because animals don't deserve to be unnecessarily harmed. That's a value that almost everybody shares. Not 100%, because of course there are people in society that we worry about, but it is an absolute correct, logical way of living. So what you want to do is help others see that they already think that way. They're just not behaving that way. So to sum up, if somebody tells you that they can't go vegan because meat tastes good, what they're saying is that they won't stop hurting animals because it feels good. And what you want to say is, you're right, animal flesh can taste good. Does something bringing us pleasure justify the harm? Can you think of other actions that cause harm that we would never justify by saying it feels good? In fact, is a harmful behavior ever justifiable because of it feeling good? This is the base of responding to that comment. I hope it helped. If you have any other questions, let me know. In fact, if any other vegans are out there watching and they feel like they have questions and they get into discussions where they don't know how to respond, let me know. I'd love to help you understand how to respond to these comments and questions and sort of responses that we get not being vegans. All right, you guys, thanks.